like what you're seeing here, subscribe to this channel for more. What up guys, this is Monkey Figure Reviews, and today we will be doing an unboxing on a figure from the latest Ichiban Kuji series, The Bonds of Brothers. It is the Price D Masterlize Extra SABO. So originally I was really excited to get this figure because the first prototype that came out, it looked really good, especially the face. But I have no idea why sometime later they decided to change the whole head sculpt, and I wasn't impressed by that. But I have the opportunity to get this from one of the followers of this channel in Singapore here. So shout out to you, and let's just review it and see what we are going to get. The box itself is a pretty straightforward design. You get an image of the figure, almost the whole image of SABO right at the front, and of course it's Ichiban Kuji Masterlize Extra, the series name, Price D, and Bandai Spirits over here. This is the side view, some shots of the figure and some close-ups of the figure. This is the other side, another image. And this is the back view. We get a whole full body image of the figure. The box is really weird, like you can tell it's not really flat at the bottom, so I'm not sure what's going on there. And at the top we have our white toy sticker here to prove its authenticity. Everything is brand new and sealed, so let's do the unboxing now. I have taken out the parts of the figure, and it comes in 6 pieces. We have this big body piece, we have his weapon, the metal pipe, coming in 2 pieces. We have his left arm here with the flame effects, his head, and also a supporting stand, which I have not taken out from the back yet because I don't think it's necessary. And this is how the figure looks like when put together, so you can see he stands perfectly fine on his own. Now let us take a closer look at the head sculpt, and I gotta say the face turned out to be a lot better than I expected. Likeness wise, I don't think I can have any complaints. Looks pretty much like SABO. The eyes are painted on, the eyebrows, the scar also. So this is the sharp nose, the mouth. Likeness wise is pretty good, really. And the only criticism I guess I can squeeze in is that in this angle which he's looking at and where you're supposed to sort of position his body in display, if only the hair is more towards the side so it doesn't really cover this eye, I think that would be slightly better, because if not, if you want to look at his full face, you have to turn him to the side like this. So if from the front we get to see more of his eyes, I think that will be great. Other than that, the hair itself, the details are pretty alright. I wouldn't say it's the most detailed I've seen. Like the strands obviously could have been more prominent and better sculpted, but it is still fairly decent and nice. I think the finishing is good, so pretty okay. And of course we have his hat here, and I just want to say that this whole figure, it's actually pretty heavy, and when you touch it, you feel it. You can tell the material, the quality of the material is better than your usual price figures, even for the head itself. And I like how they try to give it a little bit of a leathery feel. I guess that's how it's supposed to be with the head. And also there are some minimal shading on the head. I don't think it's very obvious, but some parts are lighter, some parts are darker. Overall, the details, even on the goggles, and you can see all this kind of like marks, sort of like wrinkles, those are really neat. And it goes all the way to the back too, you can see over here. Gives it a more realistic design. And for his left arm, the main thing obviously is the flame effects, and it just surrounds his hand, giving the surround effect. So in case you're wondering where it is actually connected, is here in the forearm, and other parts of the flames are not supposed to be touching it, but of course due to packaging, some part of it is sort of slightly bent, and I think maybe you could just, you know, bend it back, hold it in position for a while so it sticks. And they tried their best to definitely give color variations and also the degree of transparency. Some parts are darker, some parts are lighter, as you can see. Generally, I think around the central part here is of a deeper, darker orange, almost reddish. It looks really neat. I like the effect. And from what I can tell, very similar to the big size A's, which I previously reviewed, but unfortunately I do not own anymore. The effects, the way it is designed, the material used, pretty much the same. This is of course of a cheaper material, and it's like bendable, softer, which usually they use it for the effects. If you look close enough, you can also see some of the details on the gloves. I try to get it on camera. They included those seam lines that you usually find on leather gloves, so that's neat on details on their part. For his outfits, I think the design, sculpt, and the paint job is actually pretty well done. For example, just look at his cravat at the front. The details on it in terms of the creases, the wrinkles are very natural. The folds are really neat. And it's the same for his shirt, his blue shirt underneath, and creases here. And also the details on the belts. Can you see that seam line there? Kind of those we get on our belts at the top and at the bottom. And also the paint on the golden buckle. Really job well done on their part. And I'm not sure if you can see on the camera, but there is also some light shading, especially for the parts that are kind of facing downwards, like over here. It is of slightly darker blue, and on parts like at the top facing upwards, it is of lighter blue. It might seem like it is just the natural lighting, but if you look really close enough in real life, you can see just a little bit of difference in the shading there they have added in. So that's of course appreciated. And the only thing is just that the white paint on this, I think they are supposed to be buttons, are just kind of inconsistent. So here it's bigger, here it's smaller, but I guess that is still acceptable. Overall, the sculpt of it is just really neat, even for the coat. So I think you can just see for yourself the creases, very natural looking. I'll just turn it around, and even here on the arms, job well done. For the coat, I think also just very minimal shading, similar to the hat. And this is how it looks like. More details over here at the back, with the buttons and also those kind of thread lines. And also another sort of like a arm belt, I guess. Another part of the figure I want to bring attention to is his weapon, his meta pipe or pole, whatever you want to call it. The paint job here is actually really well done. So here is like a reflective silver color paint all the way down, and towards the top this is more of bronze, I would say. You can tell two different colors, and actually the two pieces connect over here at the strap. This is the part where it connects, and just generally I think the paint is well done. The reflective paint is on point. And another thing is the material on this meta pipe is actually very solid. So I like that. I like they make it really solid material to kind of, you know, show its sturdiness as a weapon. So that is really good. Also at the bottom you get this part. I don't think that this are intentional. These marks here, I think they just sort of didn't do it properly during the painting process, but it kind of adds to the realistic look of the pipe in terms of showing a little bit of weathering damage. So even though I think it's not intentional, it kind of has that effect. And for SABO's pants, you can see for yourself the design of the sculpt. It is very well done. I have no complaints whatsoever. This is really good. The creases are just so natural. And on his right hand, we can see his glove here. the details on it similar to the other hand. And of course, you can also see the flow of the coat towards the back to show a little bit more motion in this figure. And at the bottom, we have his boots, lighter shading towards the bottom, darker shading towards the top. And if you look closer, the thread lines are also there, the details on it. Surprisingly, the bottom of it, they didn't do the details on the sole, which they usually include them, but this time around they skip on it. So if you really want to be critical, obviously you will wish that they put it in. Now, for the height of this figure, it is very tall, so my usual ruler can't cut it, and I gotta bring in my old school measuring tape. He is, if you're talking to the top of his head, he is around 32 cm tall, and if you're talking to the top of the pole, his weapon, it is around 33.5 cm, so around slightly more than, around 30.25 inches. Here I have POP Ace and POP Luffy, so you guys can do some comparison between the two series. If you guys have been following me on my Instagram, you have seen me posting about getting POP SABO quite some time back in December, but funnily enough, unfortunately, I haven't actually taken SABO out of the box, so I can't bring him out here. And I will bring him in once I unbox him and do a do they fit next time, so you can see between that SABO and this SABO. Here we have Grandista Luffy, and over here we have the Masterlize Best Edition Luffy, which is around the same scale as of King of Artists, Master Stars piece, Flag Diamond Ship, and also Glitter and Glamours. So obviously these two are much more different in terms of size and scale, and Grandista Luffy is somewhat closer. But if you were to ask me if they are a good fit, I would actually say no. I think that SABO is closer to the big size Ichiban Kuji scale, and they are somewhat just a little bit bigger than the Grandista. And even if you're looking at them like over here, Luffy just seems too small, too short for my liking. Of course, not to mention the style of the figures are also different. I mean, if you really want them like this, I think you can still manage, but personally, I wouldn't really recommend it. Funnily enough, talking about style, even for the Ichiban Kuji of this SABO, I feel that for Luffy and Ace, all three of them have different styles and don't actually look good to each other, and doesn't match well as a three brother set. Here I have two of my favorite figures. This is King of Artists Luffy, the first one, and this is big size Zoro Ichiban Kuji. So what I mean is that these two, in terms of scale, they are essentially the same. When you look at the body proportion, the size of the figures, the height of the figures, they are mostly around the same level. So they will look good next to each other, but I don't think anyone's actually looking to get these two figures to specifically scale display them together. Alright, and even though this is called the Masterlize Extra, I think that is just a rebranding of the big size series. Just that they just sort of jump onto the Masterlize edition they have been running for a while. And here, I think you might be more interested in this. This is the King of Artists, Luffy. I do think that they actually look good together, even though this Luffy is probably, if he stands out straight, he's probably around the same height as the Grandista Luffy. But because he's squatting down, it gives the illusion that they still sort of look like around the same scale, and also his head is really, really huge. And style wise, in terms of the sculpt design, I think this two is also a lot closer, and it just makes the whole display much more dynamic. In fact, this King of Artists Luffy is just amazing. He matches well with this Zoro too. I think he matches well with the Grandista figures too. So he really adds that little bit of, special factor to your display. I just want to do a quick comparison with the image on the box, and this is what I mean when I say he looks better than what I expected based on this image, because it could be the angle they use here for this photo, or it's just that the face sculpt is also different, but he looks much more creepier here. He looks like it's kind of planning to do some evil thing to you over here, but in real life, he actually looks pretty good, pretty decent. And I actually think that for here and for here, they use two different images. This is definitely closer to this one over here, and this is just the image of the second prototype they released. It's just very weird, like what's going on here, but I'm just glad that the actual product looks fine, looks great. That's all I have, guys, for this figure, and in summary, I think the sculpt, the design, the paint job of this SABO is really good. No major complaints or issues I have, except for minor details which I think can be improved, such as maybe the hair not covering as much of his left eye over there, and also the details on the sole of his boots that should be added in. But other than that, really, I just can't find much fault in this figure. So let me know what you guys think about this SABO. I was generally quite surprised, and I'm glad I got it. Let me know what you guys think, and if you guys want me to compare him with other figures from my collection, let me know. I will try to include them in my Do They Fit video sometime down the line if I still own the figures. Alright, I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you so much. If you liked the video, do give it a thumbs up. See you guys soon. Goodbye.